Hi, everyone. Teri Wellbrock here. Just taking a moment before today's episode to touch base with everyone. Very excited to share the news that I was invited to be a part of Pink Magazine here on Hilton Head Island, which is a wonderful magazine you can pick up throughout the island. I know it's at Harris Teeter, which is a grocery store here, and I was at the Corner Perk today, which was one of my favorite places, meeting two wonderful new acquaintances, and we met up and they had copies of Pink Magazine there. But if you want to check out the article about me, you can go. It's under Featured Women, and it's at the website itsallpink.com. So itsallpink.com. And you can just go to that website, click on Featured Women. And I was in last month, so June. If you scroll down, you'll see Teri Wellbrock. So very exciting. But another cool thing about that is the founder and CEO of the magazine, Elizabeth Millen. We connected through her invitation to me to submit this or answer these questions for this article. And we are in a writing group together. She invited me to be a part of a writing group here. She lives in my neighborhood, turns out. And so we are now sitting down every Friday morning together and writing along with another author and newfound friend, Trisha. And it's been wonderful to gather with them. And because now I'm back to writing my memoir, Unicorn Shadows, From Trauma to Triumph, A Healing Guide. It's been 10 years in the making. I talk about it in today's episode. So, but it's time and it's coming together, which is absolutely wonderful. So that's the latest and greatest going on in my world. I think lots of other stuff going on, but that's all I'm going to talk about right now. So today's episode was such a beautiful conversation, and yeah, you have to definitely check out the book and the song. Oh, I just listened to the song again. You'll know what I'm talking about when you go listen in to the song that we are going to talk about in this episode. So here you go. Enjoy. Welcome, everybody, to the Healing Place podcast. I'm your host, Teri Wellbrock, and always smiling, doing a happy dance. I talked to my guests beforehand, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, we should have been recording because such good little nuggets come up. So today I have with me Michelle Rene DeBellis, and she is the author of the award-winning novel, The Music We Make. So welcome, Michelle.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here, Teri. It is such an honor to be here talking about the healing power of creativity and music.
Oh, yes. And that is such a gift. I tell you, my mom, who died on my birthday this year in March of 2023, so we had a very tumultuous childhood, and my mom was a severe alcoholic. But in her moments of sobriety, when she would connect with my sister and I, she would pull out her guitar. And so our memories, when my mom was in hospice and my sister and I were sitting with her earlier this year, we would sing her songs, but we talked to her about how much of a gift that was to us as children to sing. So we started singing some of those, like "Oh Susanna," and it's like these songs of like our childhood that she would play on her little guitar for us. So gosh, yes, I agree, and thank you for for putting this book out there to talk about it. So
thank you.
Yeah, what's inspired you? I mean, how did you come about writing this book?
So this book was inspired by a song that my husband began to write when he lost his mother suddenly. He received from her, from heaven, 4 notes that were the impetus for this song, Bird of Paradise. And when we first met, he would sit down and play this incredibly expressive chorus of this song. And he played it constantly, but over years, it didn't evolve, it didn't go anywhere. And as I was looking to write my first novel, I wanted to use the story to show him how to overcome that creative block that he was really struggling inside of and really suffering as he struggled through it. So the really amazing thing was that as I finished the final draft of the music we make, he also finished his song Bird of Paradise. And what was even more amazing was that when the music we make was nominated for a Pulitzer Prize for fiction, his song Bird of Paradise was also nominated for a Pulitzer in the music category. So how amazing is that?
Oh my gosh, I have goosebumps all down the left arm. Oh my.
You got to listen to it. You can download it on Apple Music, on Spotify. You just type in Bird of Paradise, Dominic DeBellis, or you can go to MRD Books, my website, and you'll see links to it there. But it is such an expressive piece of music. And in addition, his son kind of has that same power with expressing himself in music. Sometimes he's a 17-year-old boy and he'll walk down the stairs and I could just see him like just vibrating with his teenage angst, and he'll sit down at the piano and things that he can't express in words you'll hear coming out. If he's angry, you'll hear these like deep bass thunderous notes rolling through the house, and sometimes it's light and delicate and beautiful. And I'm just so grateful that he has this outlet to express himself through. And it's really synchronistic that I'm here talking about it with you today, because I just finished helped him submit some college essays, and he wrote an entire essay on the power of creativity in music. I'm going to read just a little bit of it. He says, "Throughout my life, I've dealt with the demons of anxiety and depression. The divine sword to these baneful beasts are the creative outlets of music and writing. Playing music has always been a way of exploring my emotions. The music I create unleashes my passions and transfigures them from something that destroys me to something that gives me the power and confidence to live my life with pride."
Wow. Like you teared me up. I mean, he teared me up. That's, I mean, one, my oldest son, that one that lives in Denver, is so deep and poetic, and he so reminded me of something he would write, and he's just, oh my gosh, that's so incredible and beautiful, and yeah, and so truthful. I mean, how many teenagers don't have or don't feel like they have, it's not that they don't have access to it, they feel like they have that resource to I know our youngest, who's also a senior, and you and I have compared notes on on these college apps and these scholarship apps and all of that, and the essays and all that fun stuff. But she has art as her outlet. Hers is photography. But to be able to find that in music, music speaks to my soul. I
think it speaks to all of our souls, and some of us, we are able to write music, and some of us, we just get to listen to it and enjoy it. But I was really excited for the song Bird of Paradise, because it's one of those songs that you can sit with and process your emotions through, especially emotions like grief. And the entire novel, the music we make, which is really sort of even just an expression of the song is symbolic of the characters' move through grief and addiction. And I was really grateful to find a way to express it so powerfully. And when I read a lot of the reviews that people have left for me on Amazon and for Goodreads, they talk about how important his journey was in helping them understand their own journey through grief and through addiction. So that was really rewarding for me.
Yeah, well, again, I told you I never read books that I receive from authors before doing the show, because I just want to be authentic in my reaction to answers in the question. I don't want to know the answers ahead of time. So I'm so incredibly excited to dive into this one, because I have been on such a grief journey. I told you my mom died in March. Then one of my soul sisters, my dearest friends in all the world, died in May. And then my nephew just died by suicide. I've had this, 2023 has been like 5 really big deaths in my life. And so there's that grief component, but then there's also the addiction component that's woven in. And it's all very heavy subjects, but when you talk about it and put these truths out there, wow, it's amazing how it helps people not feel so alone, and can really help them along their journey. So thank you.
Absolutely. And aloneness, as you just mentioned, is one of the things I deal with in the story, that human connection is one of our greatest ways out of addiction and grief, and finding people in our lives to just to be with, and to help us, to hear us, to feel us, and be with us on our journey is so important. And I really talk about that in the story. And also like the collaborative power of, creating something with people is a really beautiful part of that journey too.
Yeah. I want to go back for just a second. We'll come back around to this, but when you mentioned, when we first started talking about receiving the message from your mother-in-law, from your husband's mother, was it you received the message?
No, it was him. He
Him.
said he received these 4 musical notes, and they were just kind of eating at him to turn into this song. And then it was something that took him decades to work through. But when he was able to finally do it, it was so healing for him. The release of this song into the world was just an incredibly healing thing for him. I watched the transformation. And then you see the transformation in Santiago, the protagonist of the music we make, as you read it.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm so glad you clarified that, because two things. We talk a lot on the show about being open to the signs and those messages that we get from whatever you want to call it, God, heaven, angels, source,
Yes.
divinity, but also that I love what you just said, in that it took him a while to do something with it. So we can be open to these amazing messages, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then just
And also
backburner
the
them.
people that come into our lives that help us create them the way they were supposed to be created. And then kind of a fun part of along those lines is that, he had this beautiful piece of music that for me was always just this bare naked piano ballad. I heard it through the house constantly as this piano ballad, but in his head, it had violins and it had guitars and it had drums and it had all these other instruments. And as he finished it and had all the lyrics ready, he was like, how am I going to get this produced? How am I going to get this into the world? And he had a friend that he'd gone to grade school with who was adopted, but he had found out in his 30s that he was the son of David Crosby. And so he'd become a music producer and was successful in the music industry in his own right before he even knew that his father was this mega superstar in the music world. But he and my husband Dominic were good friends as kids, and so they connected through Facebook. They hadn't talked in decades, and he sent him just that bare naked piano track, and he said, oh, we can do something beautiful with this.
Oh my God.
And then together together they made this incredible piece of music. And he found the vocalist Randall Thomas, who did the most incredible vocal performance. And there's this ghost lyric at the end, and we knew how, or my husband I should say, knew how we wanted it to sound, but he just kind of barely mentioned it to Randall in the studio, and he made it sound exactly like what we were hoping. And we both heard it, and we were like you were talking about the goosebumps, like, oh my gosh, it's exactly how it was supposed to be. And I think that's how things are when the energy for things lines up and comes together. They are exactly how they're supposed to be.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Well, it gave me goosies again. So
Well,
yeah.
and then too, and I think as I said, that naked piano track is as a bonus track on the Audible book version of the music we make. And you, as a narrator of books, you know how much fun it is to narrate books, but I narrated this, and it was hands down the best part of the project. I loved every second of it. It was so much fun for me.
Yeah. I've just had my 5th one released this morning. And
Oh,
so
congratulations.
yeah, thanks. It's so I have fun watching it come to life and being a part of it coming
Yeah.
to life. So again, just kudos to you for being the voice of your creation. It's
Thank
just
you.
such a
I was so nervous to do it because the main character is a 22-year-old man. And how am I going to go into the studio and do this male part for most of the book? There is also some chapters of Kitty Holiday, and those were a lot easier. But I got into the studio, and my husband was the director, and we had this guy doing the production and doing the recording, and his name was Josh Good. And he, right away, they were like, oh yeah, no, this is going to be great. This is going to be fine. And it gave me this incredible confidence. And we had the best time in the studio recording the book. And when we were done, Josh stood up and he said, the book itself is a masterpiece.
Oh.
And I thought, how incredible is that? Because he was only 20, and this character is this 22-year-old young man. And I thought, how wonderful that this character that I worked so hard to present the story of was appreciated in such a way by a man his same age. So that was really cool.
Yeah, that is very cool. I mean, that's such a huge kudos, like big celebration in and of itself. So
it was.
That's awesome. Well, we had chatted for just a second beforehand, and one of the things we talked about was, I told you my 17-year-old is just working on her private pilot license, and so she's now amazing, landing and flying planes on her own. And as a mom, obviously especially a mom with anxiety history, nervous. But when we got a tour of the little airport hangar and met with her instructor initially, his plane has a parachute on the top of it, which I think is the coolest thing. So that makes me breathe a little easier, that she can just handle if she needs to. But you talked about how you utilized for in your book, your dad was a pilot. And so
my dad was a pilot of just small aircraft. And so growing up, he took us up in his plane often. And it was just one of those fun parts of my childhood. And so in the novel, I wanted my character to have that kind of danger outlet, because for him, he didn't have the will to live. And in that place of not having the will to live was this like sort of not worrying about dying. And so he kind of falls into going up in an airplane, and it becomes this thing that he does, that he's not afraid to die. And he thinks that that is giving him this edge, that the ability to commit suicide is giving him an edge. And of course, he finds out that that's not really true at all. But the climax of the novel takes place in the air. And it was so important to me for it to be this really incredible scene, and the all of the details had to be just right. And so I thought, well, how am I going to do this? I'm not a pilot, but my dad is. And so I went to my dad, and we had the most incredible collaborative session where, I mean, it was like 20 or 30 minutes. We sat down, I told him the goals we needed to accomplish and what was going to happen. And we just wrote it out sentence by sentence. And I think it's really the best scene in the book.
Oh my gosh, I love it. And I like, again, divine, I don't know what is happening with life today, but like the collaboration part of it. Right before today meeting with you, I had just a phone chat, coffee chat via Zoom with somebody working in a publishing company in Paris. And so we were having this wonderful little chit chat, and it was all about collaboration. And it was one of the audiobooks I had done, the first one I had done. They were the production company for it. And anyway, so we're talking about bringing guests onto the show, and then they want me to do a book, which is really cool. And so again, like collaboration, I love that you're bringing it up. The timing of it is so perfect. And with your husband's work with the song, and you guys all working together. I mean, your husband producing the audiobook. Gosh. So anyone who's listening, yes, collaboration, be open to the beauty of allowing these things to come into your life. It's just,
because they're so much bigger and better when we work with other creative artists to bring them into the world. Like I said, when he was working with James Raymond to produce the song, it was probably the most fun he'd had in years. When I was working with him in the studio to do the audiobook, it was the most fun I'd had in years. And it was really great too, because writing can be such a lonely process, and you just kind of have to sit through that solitary time. It's like I had editors and things that I worked with, but so much of it is lonely. And so then to get to the more collaborative place of the audiobook and the song, it was the icing on the cake.
Yes. Now, your book is it a standalone project, or do you go out, do you do speaking engagements about it? Do you do work with
I
individuals?
I have done some speaking engagements. My favorite were I was invited to Cal State University by a professor to speak to his literature students about my journey through the creative process and overcoming resistance and sort of moving through the hero's journey into the artist's journey, and just how that process works and how important it is for us to find our outlet. And I was talking about, like, for me, there's a certain time of each day that I have the most creative power, and it's important for me to seize that day and do my deep work at that time. And my message to them and to everyone listening, if you have a creative outlet and you know there's a time of day that you're most powerful at expressing it, seize that time, make it work for you, because it makes the rest of your day, the rest of your life, that much more powerful.
Yeah. Wow. I've been writing my memoir for 10 years.
That's how long it takes.
I know. And I'm like, I know, everybody, I promise it's going to be done one of these days. But
Yeah.
it's so true, because if I don't want to say make myself, if I don't honor myself
I
by
like that.
yeah, giving myself that opportunity. I'm really glad you said that, because one, for myself, I needed that reminder to honor it. But you just mentioned the hero's journey and the artist's journey, and I've heard the hero's journey before, but like not transitioning to the artist journey. Can you elaborate on that just a little
So
bit?
I should say that I've taken these ideas from Stephen Pressfield, who elaborates on them much more eloquently than I do. But he in his book, The War of Art, which I think is just such a fantastic title, he really gets into this, and he really talks mostly about overcoming resistance. And the way that I describe resistance is everything that is preventing you from fulfilling your destiny. And for me, I went through a period of time, just even almost this exact time last year, where my resistance was stopping me from doing all of the things that I needed to do. And so I had to really grab that bull by the horns and say, okay, I'm not going to let you keep me from fulfilling my destiny. I'm going to, seize this time. I'm going to give myself permission to be an artist. And that very phrase was what was so helpful with my husband, because figure he'd been working on this song for all these years. And now I'm waking up and I'm saying, okay, today is the day we write the song. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm a businessman. I don't have time to go into that creative side of my brain. I don't have that opportunity. And I said, I think it's okay to give yourself permission to be an artist today, because you are. And that day, he wrote the song in like 20 or 30 minutes. It just came out. And so it was like he'd been waiting for someone to give him permission to be the artist that he is. And so everyone listening, I'm giving you that permission right now.
Wow. And you just gave me the permission. Like, I'm serious. Like, you see me beaming. Like, I'm like, oh my, I
Yes.
so was meant to talk to you today. I mean, oh, I love it. I love it, because I'm not kidding. Like last week, I was like, why do all these obstacles keep coming up for, my, like these goals that I have? And I just
Yes.
keep getting tripped up and tripped up. And I was like, who is at work here? Need to step out of the way. And so, yeah, I've just really started to take steps to be like, I'm just going to ignore all of this that's trying to block my path, and
Yeah.
step over it, work around it, whatever, and keep moving.
That is what it comes down to. And don't you feel, as you're writing your memoir, that the writing itself is one of the greatest healing journeys you've ever been on?
Oh, so cathartic. Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
why it's taken so long, because you're not done healing.
Yeah. Oh, I want to give you a big hug for that, because it's true.
It
It's
is
so
true.
true. I mean, I know when my mom um, was in hospice for those last few weeks, months, and we were sitting with her, and she,
With
when
the
she was
guitar.
still able to communicate, and she said, Teri, it's time. Like, I remember her saying, it's time. And it was her final stamp of approval. She'd given me her approval to put our truths out there into the universe. But that was like that final aha moment. And so then I've been tripping since March over, it's time, and like trying to find reasons why it's not time. So
Yeah, because some of the final pieces that you're going to have to put into that puzzle might be something that you're afraid to face.
yeah. Yeah. Oh, so
But
powerful.
when you
Wow.
do face it, you're going to move through it because there is no way around it. The only way is through it.
Right.
And
And I
so
say,
that's why we need to hold hands with our creative medium to get through these things. Like for me, as writing, is like for so long as I was writing the music we make, I would feel how cathartic it was, like you're talking about. And I would think, is this a gift to the world or is it a gift to myself? And I almost felt like I had to choose, which was silly. But for a while, I remember like battling with my ego, like, which is it for? Which is it for? And I kind of came out that no, my highest self knows that this is a gift to the world.
yeah. Wow. And I talk about it so often on the show, but to hear someone else say it back, it is one of those aha moments of, yeah, gosh, thank you. And for everyone listening, I'm sure a lot of people were going, oh my gosh, I so needed to hear this today.
It's
Yes.
my pleasure.
Wow. Wow. How are we doing? Oh my gosh, we're already at our time. So I could certainly sit in here and talk to you for much longer, but I wanted to give you the opportunity to maybe touch upon or share anything, any final thoughts that you would like to share.
Well, I think that all of the final thoughts that I could share are expressed most beautifully in the music we make. So I would say go to mrdbooks.com and get a copy there. You can get a signed copy from me, sealed with a kiss. Or you
I'll
can
hold it
you
up.
can download the Audible or the Kindle versions on Amazon right there. That link you can also, isn't it beautiful? You
It
can also just go
is.
to Amazon and type in the music we make, you'll find it there. But read the reviews about it. I'm so proud of them on Amazon and Goodreads, and decide for yourself. But everything that I could tell you in addition to what I've said is in that book.
Awesome. Well, it's just been such a joy to have you here. You've certainly impacted me with so many beautiful insights. So thank you for sharing not just your words of wisdom today, but this beautiful gift to the world. So thank you.
It is my pleasure, and I'm honored.
All right. Well, everyone, thank you for joining us today on the Healing Place podcast. And remember, until next time, be gentle with yourself. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Ciao.
Hey, everybody. Teri Wellbrock here. Just wanted to thank you again for being a part of this healing space and my hashtag Hope for Healing journey. Thank you for sharing, liking, inviting others to join, listening in. You've really helped this show blossom. It has now been downloaded in 136 countries and is in the top 2% globally out of 3.2 million shows, which is just amazing. And it's all because of you and your tuning in and inviting others and sharing and liking and loving. And your reviews on Apple really help too. My goal is to hit 100 5-star reviews by the end of the year. And I am closing in on that. So if you are listening in on Apple or Apple Podcasts, please go and rate the show and leave a review if you absolutely love it. And I would be most appreciative. Also, if you would like to receive my monthly Hope for Healing newsletter, please be sure to go to teriwellbrock.com. It's Teri, just one R, WELLBROCK.com. And I have a gift to send you for signing up for that monthly Hope for Healing newsletter. Plus, there are many other resources listed on that page, including a resource library. All right. Thanks. Bye-bye.